You know, we have dozens of cases nationwide, and people ask me, what's your favorite? And that's like picking which kid you like the most. But I have to say, I have a special soft spot for Becky and her family, who in rural West Virginia refuse to back down. I just have to make a moment when Becky said, how many are on a sports team? And all the gay guys were like, does drama club count? And it's like, no, I know a few of you were on the swim team, but the rest of you were in the drama club. You're not fooling me. Now, Lambda Legal has been leading the fight for freedom for LGBTQ plus people for over 50 years. Thank you, yeah. We've led the fight for our freedom to love, which we won at the Supreme Court in 2003 in Lawrence versus Texas, which abolished the laws that made us criminals in this country. And at table 21 is the man who argued that case, Paul Smith. Thank you, Paul. We won the freedom to marry 12 years later at the Supreme Court. We went from being outlaws to being in-laws in Obergefell versus Hodges. We won the freedom to work in a case called Hy-Vee versus Ivy Tech Community College, which was the predecessor case to Bostock versus Clayton County, when the Supreme Court ruled in 2020 that you could not fire somebody from their job because of their sexual orientation or their gender identity. And we won the right for people with HIV to serve our country in 2022 in Harrison versus Austin. My colleague Michael Shutt, who runs our Atlanta office, always says, Lambda Legal has the receipts, and we have the receipts. Now, the problem is this. Today, everything we've won, in fact, our very lives, are under attack across this country. They are stripping away our health care. They are tearing down the institutions that keep us alive. They are tearing our families apart. So last year, working with our pro bono colleagues at Bain & Company, tables 33 and 35, Matthew Harris and Phil Cleveno, thank you. We developed a 5-year plan for our future, which we call Rising Together. What we're going to do for the next 5 years is we're going to defend our community from attacks. And we're going to continue to lead the fight for freedom. And if it takes another 50 years, we don't care. Because we believe that every generation should be freer than the generation who came before them. Now, the plan is pretty simple. It has 3 parts which pertain to the different 3 things Lambda Legal does. The first thing we do, which we're probably most famous for, is our litigation. And our litigation goal for the next 5 years will be to stop bad laws. We have plenty to keep us busy. Since 2022, 2,446 anti-LGBT laws have been introduced, at least one in every single state, including New York, and 255 have become the law in 27 states. Every red state has passed some kind of law that restricts the rights of LGBTQ plus people. That's why Lambda Legal is fighting back coast to coast We have active litigation in 24 states and 2 territories because we will not let these laws stand. Now, as if we weren't busy enough, there was something in November 2024, maybe you heard about, called a presidential election, and we got back people who opposed equality in the White House. Well, I got news for those folks. We have so far sued the second Trump administration 8 times, including, oh, it gets better. We got 2 cases still pending in court. We've won 6 of those cases. If you look at all the decisions we've had against the Trump administration, Trump 1 and Trump 2, it's 20 cases. We have won 18, we have lost 2. We have a 90% win rate against Donald Trump. We've got his number. And we will continue to defend our community from these attacks as long as it takes. We will stop bad laws. We will ensure access to health care for people living with HIV. We will end the censorship of LGBTQ plus students and teachers due to the so-called Don't Say Gay laws. We will ensure the full participation of trans people in American life, and we will defend marriage equality. But I don't know about y'all, I am a little sick of just playing defense. So that brings us to the second part of our plan, which is our work in public policy. And it's the opposite of stop bad laws. It is pass good laws. Amidst the dark moment in which we find ourselves, we sometimes forget there's still 20 states in which we have pro-equality leadership. And in those states, we can make good things happen. And that is exactly what we plan to do. Now, some of you who know me know I started my career 41 years ago as a high school history teacher in Providence, Rhode Island. Thank you, Nick, Eric, and Liam. In 1968, a year before the Stonewall riots, a group of what they then called homophile organizations came together, and they published what they called the Homosexual Bill of Rights. And people looked at them like they were crazy, because these were things that would never happen, or at least it seemed in the pre-Stonewall era. First thing they wanted was to stop consensual sexual acts between adults who were gay from being a crime. And you know what? We won that in Lawrence versus Texas. The second thing they wanted to do was to end the use of sexual orientation in issues of security clearances and citizenship. And you know what? We won that in Petroskaya versus INS in 1998. And the woman who argued that case, Suzanne Goldberg, is also at table 21. The next thing they wanted to do was abolish the policies that prevented us from serving in the armed forces. And Lambda Legal, which was founded in 1973, took this cause up right away. In 1976, in Matlovich versus the Secretary of the Air Force, the first time a gay man had ever appeared on the cover of Time magazine, and we kept suing, and we kept suing, and we won in 2010. . And the last thing they wanted was to end discrimination in employment based on sexual orientation. And as I mentioned earlier, we won that at the Supreme Court in Bostock in 2020. In 1968, all these things seemed impossible, but we did them. And it's really important we remember this history right now in our darkest moment, because it tells us two things. We know how to win tough fights. And the reason our opponents are so mad is because we kicked their ass. But the work is not done. So tonight, Lambda Legal is announcing a new LGBTQ plus Bill of Rights. These are the things we will work for another 50 years if we have to make sure that LGBTQ plus people and everyone living with HIV is fully equal in this country. One of the first things we're going to work on is making sure that people have access to quality, affordable, culturally competent health care, especially for people with HIV and trans and non-binary people. The second thing we're going to fight for is inclusive public education, because learning to respect queer people should be a lesson that every kid learns in school. The third thing we're going to fight for is to make sure that LGBTQ plus people can fully participate in American life. They have access to jobs, they have access to housing, they have access to public accommodations, that there is no discrimination that prevents you from getting a good job, a place to live, and restaurants and hotels that you are able to visit. The fourth thing we're going to fight for is a culture where LGBTQ plus families are places where everyone is valued and loved. Now, if you've been watching the news the last 2 days, you may have seen this tweet. This is a sitting member of Congress from Tennessee. Homosexuality has no place in America. Happy Nuclear Family Month. After he started getting blowback, he took it down and said, one of my staffers did it. I'm like, yeah, right, buddy. Well, I have a message for Representative Ogle in my mama's home state of Tennessee. You will lose. We will win. Because ultimately what we are fighting for is a constitutional republic where every LGBTQ plus person is embraced and valued. This is our new LGBTQ plus Bill of Rights. It may seem unrealistic to you, but 50 years ago, the idea that we could get married probably seemed unrealistic too. Lambda Legal has done it before. Lambda Legal will do it again. The third thing we do is public education. The full name of Lambda Legal, in case you don't know, is the Lambda Legal Defense and Education Fund. We've always known we have to win in the court of public opinion, not just the court of law. Nobody's life was changed by a PowerPoint presentation. People's lives are changed by stories that reach their hearts and minds, stories that help them see the humanity in their fellow people. And thank you. Maybe if you were online around Mother's Day, you saw our first public education campaign with this as the goal. And I'd like to play that ad for you now.
Dear Oma, pretty early on you knew I was different. And I'm not talking about my refusal to eat meat or my insistence on reading everything in sight.
I mean the way I would refuse skirts and dresses and shopped in the boys section as much as the girls. I really only had girl clothing to fit in with others, and we both knew that.
I don't think either of us really understood why this was, but the important thing is you let me be comfortable, no matter how much society said you should do otherwise.
You never once told me I couldn't be me, and was always more supportive than I could have ever hoped for. And now I'm here, a new legal name, new clothes, an identity that fits, and about to go off on my own to the big, scary real world. And I know that no matter what, you'll be there for me. Thank you. Love, Sonu.
Talk amongst yourselves, I'm verklempt. I cannot tell you how many hundreds of times I've seen this ad, and I get choked up every single time, but there's a special reason I'm choked up tonight. Avni and Sonu are with us here in the house. So that's the plan. We're going to stop bad laws, we're going to pass good laws, and we're going to change hearts and minds. That's what we're doing for the next 5 years. "56 years ago, these women, Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera, trans women of color, started the first trans rights organization in world history, STAR. And they published a manifesto. And the words of that manifesto are just as pertinent tonight as they were 56 years ago in 1970. If you want gay liberation, then you're going to have to fight for it. We don't mean tomorrow or the next day. We are talking about today. If you're ready to tell people that you want to be free, then you are ready to fight. We intend to fight for our rights until we get them. So I'm going to close with 3 questions. Do you want gay liberation? Do you want to be free? Are you willing to fight for those rights until we get them? That's Lambda Legal's strategic plan. Thank you.